Alright, Shalom. I'm back with another quick video. Today, I just want to give some edification, some encouragement to you all. And I was doing some self examination, some self reflecting, and stuff like that. And I don't know at what point this popped into my mind. Like, I don't know what train of thought I originally was on. But the Beatitudes in Matthew 5 just came into my mind, and I probably heard something that triggered that thought. But, anyways, I was thinking about the Beatitudes, and when I would study them when I was back in the Christian church, supposedly doing ministry and stuff like that, how I would read it and say, oh, well, yeah, no, I'm not this and I'm not that, and kind of like I would pick off the Beatitude menu which blessing I wanted or which blessing I was applicable for, because at that moment in that time, not only was I not wise enough to know that I needed to be all of these things, and I was unlearned in that matter, but I also was not humble enough to be those things. I also was very, I want to say prideful. I don't know if that's the right word. I was very self-focused concerning it. Let me say that. I was very self-focused concerning that, and so I was laughing at myself the other day because I'm like, you were just so foolish. How could you be that foolish to say, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that? You're reading the scripture, you know what it says, but you're actively deciding not to do it, but you're supposedly in the church, in, uh, in an office, serving in a ministerial capacity. But this is what happens. This is what happens all the time. This is what has been happening for years and years and years. People do it. It's called selective obedience, which is disobedience. If we're going to be honest about it, selective obedience is disobedience. And I just want to read those verses really quick in Matthew 5, verse 1 through 12. I'm going to read that. And just to encourage you guys not to be as I was, and thank the Most High that I am no longer that way. But it was very foolish of me to think that uh, these things didn't apply to me. Like, I would just go with what did apply to me at that time, which wasn't even much when I think about it and hindsight. So the scripture says, and seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see the Most High. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most High. Okay. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Now, and I remember talking to my mentor. I had a mentor back in those days. And I let her know, straight up. I said, I'm not going to put her out there, but I said, Sister so-and-so, I don't know about being a peacemaker, because, if somebody comes out, the wrong way. Like, you have to let them know. You have to. And she was like, well, that's how the conversation started with her and I, because I told her, I said, well, I believe that God, back then we called it God in Christian churches, God, Lord. I believe God made you a peacemaker, because she was just so peaceful, so sweet, so humble. Really, she blessed me for that time in that season, and gave me something to aspire to be. She was much older. I was 20, she was in her 50s, so she had some good life experience, 30 plus years of marriage under her belt. So I'm like, yeah, I can get with her and learn something. And so, yeah, I told her, I let her know, I said, I believe that God made you to be a peacemaker, because she was, like, she was the diffuser of situations. When somebody was, beefing or at odds, she could come in and talk to one person and then talk to the other person, and all would be well. She could smooth things over. Some people have a gifting for that. All praise to the Most High for those people. Okay, I knew, especially in that season, that was not my gifting. Okay, I'm like, be mad and go on about your business. Like, that's how I was. So I was going through the Beatitudes, because they have the weekly Bible study and everything. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's good in reading the Word, but it's not good if you're not getting anything out of it. So I'm sitting up here comparing myself up to the scriptures, trying to see where I fit in, what blessing I'm going to get. This is my mentality at this time. And let me put this Bible up higher so I don't have to strain to see. Um, Okay, so I felt like at that time I could apply those who do hunger and thirst after righteousness, because I was seeking the Most High, but not as I should, obviously. Obviously, right? Um, but I felt like I did hunger and thirst after righteousness, because I did want to be, like, I had it, the desire to do it. I did not understand what it took. I did not understand my role in the kingdom at that time. Of course, you're not going to understand your role when you're not in this truth and you're not reading the Bible as it was originally intended to be taught. So it was a mess, okay? But I felt like that applied to me, verse 6 and verse 10, when you're persecuted for righteousness' sake, okay? Now, how in the earth, heaven, hell, wherever, how do you skip over all of those verses? Okay, and this is me talking to myself the other day. So y'all just listen. How do you skip over all of those verses and think you're about to make the kingdom? Crazy girl. Okay? So I talk to myself like that. I talk to other people like that sometimes too. But this is what we have to understand. All of these things, all of these blessings that are listed are things we should be trying to aspire to attain. These are things we should be trying to actively accomplish, not just picking over one, two, three. I didn't even get to three back then, but now I'm trying to get them all. You know, all of those blessings. I need all of it, and you do too. But it just goes to show how we evolve in our walk and our faith and in our spirit. It's not enough to just be in the book and read, but we have to live out these things, okay? Faith requires action, just like love requires action. Our love of the Most High requires obedience, and obedience is an action and a mindset and a way of living. All that's action, So if you have no action behind all this lip service you give, then what does it really amount to? That's the questions, the things we have to be asking ourselves. Um, what are we really doing? Like, what do we really have going on? The poor in spirit, I was prideful back then. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was prideful. I thought I was doing something. Okay. Now I will say that I did do. I suffered a lot. I did, and I went through a lot, and I stayed in that place a long time, thinking that I'm doing the work of the Most High, so I'm doing it for the Most High. But the Most High was trying to uproot me, and my own deceiving my own self and my own deception. I'm thinking I'm still doing the work there. So I had to come out of that mindset and really seek the Most High as opposed to, and what He had for me as opposed to what I was already doing and feeling like that was it and that was enough. So I was not poor in spirit. So would that mean the kingdom of heaven isn't mine? You see what I'm saying? Like this is what how we need to look at this, okay? Because the Messiah is telling you, He's laying it out, making it plain. This type of person is going to receive this. So if you're not this type of person, you're not going to receive that. But why wouldn't I want the kingdom of heaven to be mine? But I think I thirst after hunger and thirst after righteousness. No, we have to get that deceived mindset up off of us. It carries a very strong spirit, and it will make you prideful because if you think that you're doing something and you're so much of this and you're so much of that, and you have all of these works, because I did put in a lot of work. I'm not going to say I didn't, but it was all vanity. Okay, it was vain. Not all of it, but a lot of it, because I wanted that to be it. Like I'm putting in this work here at this church, and some kind of way, I'm not merciful. I'm not a peacemaker. I'm like, hey, you got a problem with me. That's your problem. Um, so I was not extremely loving at all, like I should be. I was not a compassionate person. But to think that I'm going to be filled with righteousness, how deceived did I have to be? Okay, and it's so easy. I always say it's so easy to miss the kingdom. This is why we have to self-evaluate consistently, not just once a week, every day, throughout the day. We have to examine ourselves and try ourselves against the word to see if we're matching up line upon line. You know, um, it said, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Back then, I didn't really have too many feelings about anything. Like, I'm not even going to sit up here and lie on myself. And that's one of the reasons why I did not have too many sisters. Well, that's only part of it. Part of it was they were in a bunch of foolishness and I wasn't having it. That was the first part. The second part was I did not possess the compassion to be a sister to somebody else, even back then in the Christian church, because one, I didn't want any parts of their folly, but in addition to that, there was something in me that was just numb, and I had no feeling towards them. I had no compassion or love towards them. So when it came to mourning, I could not sympathize or identify with that. If I ever felt some type of way about something, somebody passed away or something happened that should make me sad, I mean, I'm trying to explain this so it makes sense, but those natural feelings weren't there. It would just be like, well, it is what it is, or like, Most High just take the pain away, and you know, I shook it up off me. It wasn't a process of being human. I was a very abnormal person. I mean, like the natural feeling, they just weren't there. I don't even know how to explain it to you. I was numb to a lot of stuff, so I lacked a lot of compassion for a lot of things, and it was very, it was not possible for me to empathize or sympathize with someone because those feelings just weren't there. Okay, um, where Okay, so I talked about verse 6. I foolishly thought I was in the right, but I was all wrong with that. And verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. I was not merciful. I was fire and brimstone, okay? No mercy. Once you know that's it, no chances, no second chances, no. But what about repentance, Like, the Most High is merciful with us. How was I so unmerciful? And I'm, I'm telling you, I'm laughing at this now, but this was my life. This was my reality at one point. I was so off. It's not even funny. Like, I'm laughing at myself because I see how crazy I was. But it's sad as well, and it's so easy to deceive yourself if you're not in this word and if you're not truly seeking the Most High in spirit and in truth, like we're supposed to. And when you don't have an accountability partner, like all of these things work hand in hand, they go hand in hand. So we absolutely have to have that self check, and we need a buddy check system for somebody to say, hey, now, wait a minute, the hell are you talking about? Like, you all wrong. You all off course. Let's get you back right. Let's look at these scriptures and these precepts. Where do you see that at in the Bible? And that's all I needed for my mentor to say to me is, girl, that's not what that word says. You're about to miss out on everything. But I don't know. I guess I was just a bit too intense in those days. Nobody wanted to even say anything to me. And at one point, that sister had, went on, and we weren't as in contact and close. And I had asked someone else to be my accountability partner, and they flat out said no. They were like, no, not you. I ain't got time. So that's what it was. Okay. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Now, this one was tricky for me because I felt like because I wanted to make the kingdom, that meant I had a pure heart. But no, that's not what that means at all right? And what is it, Psalm 51, where David said, creating me a clean heart and renewing me a right spirit. Okay, that's what I should have been focusing on if I wanted to have a pure heart. Okay, I needed to be meditating on that psalm, and it's not like I didn't know it, but I surely was not thinking to do that. That's where this pride comes in. Pride is a deception. Okay, don't think yourself to be more than what you are. I had to really lay that thick on myself, and I'm just sharing this to be sharing. Like, I don't know if anybody's having these issues or not. Maybe you aren't. But I'll tell you one thing, be sure you line up with this word in these scriptures. Make sure, be sure daily, all throughout the day. We have to keep it right. It's not enough to get it right, but we have to keep it right. So, yeah, my heart was not pure because I was puffed up and prideful and didn't care about nobody too much. I mean, if you weren't a little child, you didn't have my attention, and I didn't want to deal with you no way. So I was way off course with that. Peacemakers, forget about it. I definitely wasn't that. But I felt like I was persecuted for righteousness' sake. Okay? Here's the thing. A lot of that stuff I probably heaped on my own self just by not being obedient to the word. I mean, of course, we all come under attack, and I had super major, ginormous distractions come in all shapes, sizes, and forms. And some of them were effective, some of them weren't, because I did pray. Like I would pray, I would go to war in some prayer, and that's probably what got me through. And the Most High's mercy, and His grace, because had it not been for Him, do you know I could have died in my ignorance and missed the kingdom back then, up in the church, thinking I was doing something. That's what, if you don't take nothing else from this today, take that. It's easy to miss the kingdom. And we have to redeem all the time we have and examine ourselves daily, all throughout the day, just to ensure we're lining up with these scriptures so that we don't miss the kingdom. And studying to show yourself approved, really reading these scriptures and applying it. Because see, the life application part was not significant in that time, or as significant as it should be. Let me say that. Because there were certain things I was like, oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that. But, homegirl, you was on a whole bunch of other stuff. So what about all those other scriptures? Okay, what's the whole duty of man? But I wasn't even on that level back then. And don't get me to line. I'm not going to try to tell you what year it was. I was 20 something. So let's say it was 10 years ago or over 10 years ago. You come so far and you still have so much of a ways to go. Be thankful that you made it this far, because some people don't come out of that. They don't snap out of the delusion. And some people die in that ignorance and they may miss the kingdom. I can't say that they did or they didn't. I just feel like I would have, based on how I was operating, had the Most High not spared me to come into this truth. That's why I feel so chosen. I feel so blessed. I really feel this whole elect thing, because to know where I was and know where I am now and know what it could have been. You think I'm not grateful, child? Okay. We're not even going to go there. We're just going to keep moving. So, yeah, I feel like that's pretty much all I have. I'm constantly evolving into something greater, because we were told that we should be doing greater works. And the things I'm doing now, first of all, I never thought I would be doing. Um, I would not have assigned myself to do it. But we do it as unto the Most High out of obedience, and we have to evolve. We definitely have to evolve. And back then, the person I was, I thank the Most High I'm not that person now. Because whatever great thing I thought I had going on and I was doing, I was off. There was a disconnect. And I remember somebody told me that, an ex-fiance, and I had to read him for the filth, because he just said that because he was mad. But on a spiritual level, that was totally true. He was speaking truth, and I was not able to receive it at all, because I'm sitting up here looking like, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and I did all of this. So what are you talking about? What are you doing? Just keep living, and you'll see. Just keep living, but live righteously. I didn't have anybody to tell me to do so, to hold me truly accountable to the word. We were all just, faking it till we made it. But I can tell you now, most of those people who started out with me and came after me, and even those who were before me, they still haven't made it to the full knowledge of the truth. So that's something to keep in mind. We have to keep evolving. We don't stay the same. My name isn't even the same. Okay? From even when I first got into this truth. My husband changed my name after some time, because he had to meditate and learn and know and understand who I was at that point. But when we first got married, I was just Yaya. And Yaya, she was alright. She was a little bit crazy though, but you know, comes with the territory, right? So I'm not gonna even drag this video out. I'm gonna end it here. Examine yourself, study to show yourself approved. Make sure you're lining up with the word. If you don't do anything else, make sure you line up with the word. I mean, but you should be doing something else because it's time to build this kingdom. All right. So until next video, Most High's blessings to you all, and shalom.